Hey babes, my name's Diamond and I create content to help women to cultivate a Christian mindset, lifestyle, and self-care. Today I'm going to be sharing my testimony on how God delivered me from practicing idolatry and witchcraft and having a weed addiction and depression and being stressed out and promiscuity and having a baby out of wedlock. Um, so we're about to really get into some things. If you've seen my channel, or if you've been subscribed to me for the last few years, or if you follow me on Instagram, I have made a variety of different type of content. But over the last year, the Lord has really just been leading me to share His truth. And so I am making this video because I have a desire to be obedient to the Lord, and because I have decided to um, surrender it all to Him, and offer my body as a living sacrifice so that I can be holy and acceptable unto God. So I hope this video helps, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start from the beginning. I grew up in church. I would say at least from like middle school to like through college. I attended church regularly. I would go to Bible study. I would go to church on Sunday morning. Now I have a very interesting background because growing up, my dad was actually like Islamic or like a Muslim, and my mom was Christian. My mom didn't really go to church, and my dad wasn't really like a heavily practicing Christian. So I kind of grew up with this idea that like you could just choose your way to God. But I did early on choose Christ. So when I was 17 years old, I got baptized, me and my little sisters, and then over the course of the next few months, my entire family got baptized. My siblings, my parents, and everything. I ended up going off to college, and I would say, to be honest, one of the reasons why I did get baptized was because I was like, okay, I'm going to go off to college, and I don't know when the next time I'm going to have the opportunity to get baptized. I believed in God. I believed in like Jesus Christ, and just, but I didn't really have a relationship with Him. I didn't have like a deep intimacy with Him. So I go off to college, and I'm still going to Bible study, but I'm really kind of just falling into really just doing whatever I want to do, going out partying and drinking, and you know occasionally sleeping around, or just kind of doing whatever I thought was like the college experience. And so I end up coming home from school, and fast forward a few years later, I'm 20 years old. I end up meeting this guy, and I started dating him, but he was not a Christian. And so up until that point, I had like a strong conviction of like, oh, I'm not going to date anybody that's not a Christian because I don't want to be unevenly yoked. Now, mind you, I didn't really read my Bible, but it was just stuff that I would hear, and I'm like, okay, no, that makes sense. So when I met this guy, I really liked him. I thought he was attractive. I decided, you know what, maybe it doesn't matter. Like, I'll have my belief. He has his belief. Like, I'm open-minded. I'm not judging anybody. And that was kind of when things really took a turn in my walk with Christ. And I wouldn't even say a walk with Christ, because I was like a believer, but not really walking with Him. I was not a disciple. I didn't even know that I could be a disciple of Christ. I thought it was just the 12 disciples in the Bible, and then that was it. So that kind of shows you like I really didn't have a depth of knowing and understanding what it truly meant to put my full trust in Him, put my full faith in Him. So I ended up dating this guy who was a 5%er. So if you're familiar, it's kind of like, I'm not going to get into it. You can look it up. But basically, like, they believe that the black man is God and the woman is earth and the white man is the devil. And it's like very like pro-black, very like, Christianity is a white man religion, and saying like stuff like that. So I would get into like discussions with him and his friends and like the people that he would be around, and they would question Christianity, and they would ask me things that I didn't have an answer for. And so I would go to God and I would pray like, Lord, help me win these arguments. It made me bitter towards God because I felt like He wasn't giving me the He wasn't giving me like the answer so that I could win these arguments, but I was just trying to win arguments and not actually trying to win their souls. because I wasn't really focused on it. I just wanted to be right because it's like I know that this is right. So long story short, I dated him, and like that kind of led me to straying away from God. So from about 20 to 26, I was not practicing Christianity, and I was actually very like Afrocentric, very angry. This is around the time that like Mike Brown was murdered. Like I was down the street from that when it happened. So I'm like out, I'm protesting, and I'm seeing the way that Black people are being treated, and I'm kind of opening my eyes to what's really going on in the world. And I was just so angry towards God. Like, God, if you're real, why are you letting these type of things happen? But again, I didn't have my own personal relationship with Christ. So I didn't, I'm not reading my Bible. I'm not really seeking the Lord diligently. So I was very vulnerable to the plan of the devil, really. And so I ended up practicing like new age spirituality. So when I say I was like practicing new age spirituality, I'm taking like crystals and doing new moon and full moon rituals, trying to get money and trying to know thyself, and like all of these different things that were just pulling me further and further away from God. Like I was, looking up Oshun and like Greek goddesses and trying to manifest their energies in my life, and like not realizing that I had created so many different idols in my life. I didn't even know what idolatry was. I didn't even know like necessarily that witchcraft was like bad or against God. I'm like looking at my horoscope every single day, trying to see what's coming next in my life. Like all of these things that felt like they were going to give me the answer, that they were going to bring me closer to like myself and closer to God, or like what my idea of God was. It was very like, oh, I'm spiritual, not religious, rejecting this quote unquote white man's religion. And I dated around, and I was very I just kind of had like, I don't know if you all have ever seen like Girlfriends or like Sex in the City. Now, I wouldn't say I was Samantha, but like I wasn't saving myself for marriage. I was definitely, I'm dating this guy for a couple of months. Oh, I really like him. Let's see where it's going. Like, free the nipple, and this is my body. I could do what I want with it. Like, I shouldn't have to wear, I shouldn't have to be fully covered up, and like men should respect me anyway, which is like, yeah, sure, men should respect you, blah, blah, blah. But like at the end of the day, like you should cover your body to honor God, because this is God's body. Like if you've accepted Christ anyway, that Holy Spirit indwells in you. So like it's not your body to show off the way that you want. But that's another topic. We can get into that later. But yeah, so basically for about 6 years, I was practicing, all of these different things. Like I'm talking putting like, the little Yanni eggs, like manifesting this, using rose quartz to try to manifest love, and like sticking this in parts of my body that I am not even going to talk about. Okay. But yeah, just a bunch of stuff that was drawing me further and further away from Christ. And I developed a weed addiction, where like I got to a point where I was literally smoking weed every single day. Like I would wake up, smoke throughout the day. I had to smoke to eat. I had so much anxiety and depression and stress because I was just putting my faith and my trust in everything but God. And I'd experienced sexual abuse and just different abuse from different relationships and just different situations, and like things that I can look back on now and think, that's when I should have turned back to God. Like that's when I should have turned to Christ. That's when I should have ran back to my Father. But I just dug my heels in deeper and deeper and deeper. And sidebar, this is something that I recognize now, like in the Bible it talks about like the importance of like names. So like God turned Abram's name to Abraham, and he turned Jacob's name to Israel, and like the importance of what a name means. And so like my first name is Diamond, which means of high value or brilliant. My middle name is Marie, which means rebellious. And so I can say, like, even in my family, I'm one of 7 kids. I grew up in the house with 6 kids because my older brother has a different mom. And like I was definitely the rebellious one. Like I would say for the most part, my other siblings kind of just like did what they were supposed to do. I was very much the black sheep. I was the one that always questioned everything. I was the one that like probably gave my parents the most worry. Like I would be like, I remember I told my parents that I was on the track team, and I wasn't even on the track team. I was just staying after school, hanging out with friends, because I grew up in an environment where my parents were quote unquote overprotective, but really they were just being parents and trying to make sure that I was okay. But I said that to say that like I have a rebellious type spirit, and that really kind of I think I can see how that like manifested in my life. And it's like, I'm the type of person where if I'm into something, I'm really into it. So like I'm practicing witchcraft, not even knowing that I'm practicing witchcraft, but I'm like deep into the witchcraft. I got books. I'm, hanging out with people who are witches. Like these people are literally witches. Like, oh, I'm gonna manifest, whatever. It's like you're conjuring up things. I'm listening to music by witches, like Beyonce. Like the girl is a witch. Don't listen. Don't even try to come for me. I mean, I guess if you want to come for me, you can. The truth is the truth. And at the end of the day, you're manifesting Oshun energy and all of this stuff. It's like these deities, these gods, lowercase g, is wickedness. It is not of God, and it is so far from the truth. And these are the things that I am like diving headfirst into. And so for about 6 years, I was deep into that. I would say the shift where I could see where the Lord like was shifting me back into Him was when I was 26 years old. I got into a relationship, and I was like, I'm ready to have a family. I'm ready to settle down, whatever. So I get into a relationship, and he is like, yeah, I'm ready to have another kid. He already has a kid. So he's like, I'm ready to have another kid. Now, I've always thought of myself like, oh, no, I'm going to get married first and then we can have a kid. But the thing is that when you're living in a worldly way, things that don't make sense you will make sense of them when you are making decisions out of your flesh. Because he was like, oh, well, we could go ahead and just have a baby this year and then we could get married the year after. That way, the kids won't be so far apart in age. And so I'm like, okay, I want to be a mom. And, of course we're going to get married. It never really dawned on me that I could potentially end up being a single mom. Which is like, girl, how did you not see that coming? But I just really did it because, again, I'm operating in a world with no wisdom, no discernment. I had turned away from God. Like the Lord has turned his, face for me, as he should, because he's a just God and he's righteous, and like he deserves better than a wayward child. So anyways, I decided to try to have a baby. I ended up having a miscarriage, which was very traumatic and very heartbreaking. And right after that, I started trying again. So I ended up getting pregnant. And so this time during my pregnancy, I am like scared to touch anything. I have so much anxiety because now I'm afraid that my body is going to fail me. And so I called my mom, and I would just ask my mom like, hey, what can I do so that I don't feel stressed out and scared and worried? And my mom would be like, just pray. And I'm thinking like, girl, could you give me some real advice? Like, can you tell me what I should actually do? Like some tangible things. Like, I'm not looking for this little like, and this is what my mind is telling, like this little fairy tale prayer stuff. Like, girl, what can I actually do? And my mom said to me, and I will never forget, she said, the only advice I could give you is to pray, because that's the only thing I've ever been able to do. And so I'm like, at this point, I don't have nothing to lose because these crystals ain't helping me. The new moon, full moon rituals is not helping me. This African spirituality, that's not helping me. These goddesses that I'm manifesting for fertility and all of this, none of this stuff is helping me. These things ain't answering me back. These things are not comforting me. They're not making me feel anything other than more stressed. So I just started praying. I started praying to God, and I just started to kind of feel more peace and more guidance. And I could just see, like, by the end of my pregnancy, I realized my relationship was not working out. I had, like, moved into his house, and it just wasn't working out. And I'm gonna share with you all how God moved so swiftly. And so basically my relationship wasn't working out, and I'm not gonna give you all the details, but basically it was like a Tuesday. I had talked to my mom, and I'm telling my mom basically what's going on. That Saturday was my baby shower, and my sister and her boyfriend had decided to move to Dallas, and my sister was moving to Dallas the next day after my baby shower. So she was gonna be in town for my baby shower. Then her and her boyfriend were moving out of town. My sister still had her apartment, basically fully furnished, for me to move in, which I had sold all of my furniture. I moved into my daughter's dad's house with nothing but my clothes. Like, I turned all my furniture, my appliances, everything I had sold. I was like, okay, like, I'm starting a family with him. I'm gonna go move into his house or whatever. Literally, I called my mom on that Tuesday. My mom asked me, like, are you okay if I share this with your sister? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, whatever. What I got to lose, I had a baby shower on Saturday. Sunday morning, I moved out of my daughter's father's house, and my daughter was born October of 2019. So a few months after that, I ended up, having a month after I moved into where I live now, I had my daughter, and then a few months later, the pandemic happens, and it is like only God could have put me in a position for me to thrive and to have the support that I needed, and to know that I could not handle being in this unhealthy, unsafe relationship. And not unsafe like he was physically abusing me or anything, but it was just emotionally not what God had for me, and I did it in my own will and not in his. So fast forward now, so I lived like a couple years now. I'm praying at this point. I'm a believer again, but I'm really not going to church because it's a pandemic, and then it's all of these other things. So it's like, okay, I'm praying, I'm kind of rebuilding my relationship with God, but I'm really still a lukewarm Christian. I'm still dating and sleeping around when I feel, when I feel like, oh, it's a connection or whatever. I'd gotten super into this, like, kind of new age, like, feminist lifestyle of or city girl lifestyle kind of vibes, like, oh, you gotta date rich men and get them to buy you stuff. And it's like, okay, now I'm doing this, but I'm still not feeling what I should be feeling. I'm still not falling in love. I just felt like it was something missing. It's like, okay, I'm dating these guys, I'm going out to these 5-star restaurants, they're buying me things, but it still feels empty. I have all of these quote unquote luxury items. I'm going on these trips. I'm doing all this stuff, but I still don't feel satisfied. I still am smoking weed every single day. I'm still on edge. I'm still stressed out. I'm overweight because my cortisol levels are through the roof. Why am I so stressed if the luxury items and the dating of rich guys and, getting flued out, like, if this is supposed to be satisfying, why don't I feel satisfied on the inside? So last year, I had like a really traumatic experience with a guy, and that was kind of like the breaking point for me of, like, I totally just isolated myself. I decided, okay, I'm not gonna date anymore. Now I could see, like, it was really God allowing worldly things to take its course so that I would then fully turn to him. So God has isolated me. I would say literally it's been a full year up to now. And I started just by doing a daily devotional. So I did a daily devotional, and then I'm like, as I'm like kind of reading the scripture every day and I'm praying every day, but I just started to feel more and more like there's more, like there's more. And once I started really reading my Bible, I started realizing I'm thinking, oh yeah, I pray every day. Like I'm a good Christian. But I'm going to Pilates on Sunday morning, and I'm, you know, really putting my trust in the job that I have to pay my bill. Like not really fully trusting God and not really surrendering and not really letting Jesus be the Lord of my life. But I think I'm a good Christian because I'm comparing myself to things that are totally like worldly, where it's like I've used this analogy before where if you are comparing yourself to completely like ungodly things, you're gonna look godly. But if you are comparing yourself to the holiness and the righteous standard of God, you will realize how far away you are from that standard if you are not really walking the walk as you should as a disciple, as a believer of Christ. And I could just start to see how the more I would seek him, the more peace I had. And then one day I kind of just woke up. I'm like, wow, I haven't smoked weed in like 2 months. And then I just no longer had like the Lord totally changed my appetite for things, removed friendships that were not rooted in him. I joined a church. Like I kept feeling like, man, I should start going to church again. Because I'm like I said, I'm going to Pilates on Sunday morning, doing my self-care, living my life, and living my best life, doing what I want to do. And the more I started to seek God, the more I just wanted him, you know, and the more I would learn. And I got to a point where it's like, I'm reading my Bible 3-4 hours a day. Like God is literally leading me, drawing me back to him. And now where I am in my walk with Christ, I'm going to church every Sunday, every Wednesday for Bible study. I actually teach teen church 2 Sundays out of the month. So I work with the young ladies, which I absolutely love. I'm studying my word regularly. I am in a relationship with a wonderful man who loves the Lord, and we pray together every day, and we do Bible studies together. And it is the first time I have had a God-centered relationship. And it just feels like this is what God wanted for me the whole time. But because I wanted to do things my own way, or the way that the world says to do them, where you date 50 guys and then choose the one who has the most money, or where you date a guy, you go on 8 dates and now it's okay to sleep with him. And like, I am in a relationship with a man that I'm so in love with. We are abstinent, and I don't know where God is leading us, but I know that God has given us the desire to honor him. And even my friendships have shifted. Like God is leading me into a deeper relationship with women of God. Some of them married, some of them not married, but these women love the Lord. And when we have conversations, Christ is at the center of those conversations. And literally, it just makes me feel like I have to share. I'm so sorry. I probably look like I'm like an ugly crier. I don't know, everybody says that because like nobody looks cute when they cry, but like God has just been so good to me. He's been so faithful, and he has put a desire in my heart to share. And so I just wanted to share my testimony. And I'm going to talk more about, where I am on my walk and just things that I'm learning. And I'm going to be sharing like different teachings and stuff, but I just wanted to give you guys a foundation of what my experience is. And I hope that this helps somebody. I pray that this is edifying. I pray that you can hear and understand the love of Christ, because Jesus died on the cross for me, like there's no condemnation. Like the things that I have gone through, I can sit and I can share, and I cannot be embarrassed, and I cannot feel condemned, because Jesus Christ already paid the debt. And he doesn't see me based off of the mistakes that I made, but he sees me based off of his love for me and the sacrifice that he made. And he sees you the very same way. And I just want you to know that it's not too late to turn back to Christ. It's not too late to commit to a deeper relationship and intimacy and walk with him, because Christ is the answer. Like the weed isn't the answer, the sex isn't the answer, the money, getting money from God isn't the answer, the selfish ambition, seeking, um, you know, accolades or whatever these things are of the world is not the answer. The only answer is Jesus Christ. That's the only answer. And the only reason I'm sitting here right now, not dead in my grave, not a drug addict, not promiscuous, not depressed, not stressed out, is because God loved me so much that he offered his son as a sacrifice so that I could be made righteous in his eyes. That's the only reason why I'm able to sit here and share my experience. So I pray that this helps someone. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you babes in the next one. Bye.